In today's video, I'm going to share with you about how I coped with stress as a nurse. Tune in. Welcome to the channel. Here at Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things bridging mental wellness and spirituality for nurses. My name's Fola, and I am a registered psychiatric nurse turned shamanic practitioner and Reiki master teacher. I'm all about bridging and bringing forth the knowledge and tools on altered states for healing for nurses such as yourselves. The beautiful thing about being a nurse is that we're all about supporting people and holding space. But as this channel is all about, sometimes it can be a challenge for us to do that when we aren't really doing it for ourselves. So in the video, I want to share with you some ways I've learned to cope with stress during work and outside of the workplace. So before we get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you're updated on future video releases. And feel free to hit the like and share button, sharing it with any nurses or anyone that you might know that might need a little bit of a de-stressor. So the first tool that I think is super helpful when it comes to de-stressing and coping with the work life of a nurse is to take your frickin' breaks. Take your breaks. I don't know why I have to say it, but I guess I have to say it. And I mean, I've been guilty of this too. You know, you're on the floor, it's like super busy, you're short-staffed, the more calls, more people are coming in seeking for support depending on where you work. And there is this need to just work like dogs. It's like this thing about nurses. We just like give and give and give. And people will take and take and take. If we're not willing to set that boundary and really stand for ourselves about what we need for our physical body, our mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, then we're going to just be in the same spot that we've always been. So the first thing I've learned over the years is take a break. Whether you have to really stand up for yourself and demand it, that shouldn't be the case because this is all part of the union requirements. Please do what you need to look after yourself. And a break is a great way to de-stress because you're removing yourself from the workplace. Don't do what I did for a long time and eat my meal at the desk because that's definitely not the way to go. Another great tool I found helpful is if I am on my break or other moments outside, like the day-to-day, ideally every morning and night if you can, is to meditate or find a mindfulness moment. Many people hear the word meditation and they get like completely turned off. This is about you tuning into yourself, finding that place of stillness, and it can be a really beneficial healing process. It doesn't need to be this like 30-minute to an hour-long journey of meditating in silence because God knows that doesn't usually happen. It's really just about you tuning into the breath, maybe counting the breath for an inhale of 4, holding it for a moment, and then exhaling for 4. And you can just repeat the sort of box breathing technique, even setting a timer for 2 or 5 minutes, and see how that supports you with kind of grounding down. Something I've enjoyed doing is taking this practice outside on my break, if it's nice where you are, where you can sit outside, kind of connect with nature, and get outside of your like unit, your workspace, because that's super important to just find that center again. Another important tool I found, whether I'm at work or I was at home, is to use sound and music for healing. I find music just is like the most amazing thing. And when it comes to sound healing, even more juicy. I use a drum, I use tuning forks, things like that. I also have singing bowls. You can listen to anything that kind of helps promote that feeling of detoxifying the mind from all the stressful chaos that tends to happen in a workplace. I think too, if you can find a nice tune or some soft music to play at work, if that's allowed on where you're at, then definitely try that. When I was working at one of the injection clinics, I would put on the computer some kind of like higher frequency sounds, like the sound healing at like 432 hertz and all those. You can look up different forms of frequencies because they promote different types of wellness, whether it's like more abundance or kind of feeling lighter and grounded. And I found that was really helpful even for the patients coming in to get their injections. So look at that. Win-win situation. Love it. And then another part that's been super helpful, and I think is oftentimes missed out for nurses, is the importance of debriefing after a situation. We can undergo a lot of stress from certain events that take place. I mean, I don't even need to go into the details of some of the intense stuff that I've seen, and I'm sure you have as well. But there's a need for us to really debrief with our colleagues, to tune in with each other, to have a conversation in a non-judgmental way. And if this isn't happening at your workplace, I would encourage you to take the steps, talk to your manager, leadership, about how you can start to bring that in. There are a lot of different types of tools, a lot of different types of training programs specifically to do this type of work, crisis sort of management process. And I think this is super important because it helps us reduce the longer term impact of stressful or traumatic events in our life. And that will promote a significant increase in our mental wellness. And it's one thing to talk with your colleagues and debrief about a situation, but it's extra important that you give yourself the time, whether it's at work, on a break, or after, to do a bit of a compassionate self-reflection. As nurses, we can be so hard on ourselves, and it's super important that we gain the sense of trust that, you know what, we're doing the best that we can at any given moment, and there are 1,000 different factors that could be, underlying certain decisions that we make. So have that compassion, meaning, we all make mistakes, we're doing the best we can, we're all human. And when you can honor that within yourself and reflect back about what are some things you'd like to do differently next time, and what are some ways that you really found you rock that situation. Because when it comes down to it, we all have our beautiful gifts to bring into the world. And lastly, one of the pieces that have really held space for me is my spiritual practice. That includes the Reiki, energy healing, and the shamanic practices. This is something that I came across in some way, however things happen synchronistically, and integrating that with my work, with my life, has been the thing that's really supported me in I can just feel this opening of my heart and being able to hold space for other people, the patients coming into the space to see me, and also reaching out to all of you. I think that the spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you, it's about opening it and being curious to whatever lights you up. I know for me, what led me to Reiki was having a Reiki session with someone, even though I'd never heard of it before. And it really changed my life. So there's so many amazing, amazing ways that you can start to implement that sort of spiritual practice to reduce your stress. So forget about all the old religious dogma or belief systems that you've held on to or experienced in the past. This is about finding what works for you. And then from there, you can start to integrate it into your practice as a nurse. And I think that's going to be the best thing for the entire world. So if you have a method that you've used to kind of de-stress and cope with the workplace and the stressors of nursing, feel free to share in the comments below, and let's encourage each other through this process as we step into transforming our lives and ultimately changing the healthcare system. See you in the next video.